this is something that, a number of us who have been looking into it were well aware of. It's not that there were no indications of what was going to happen January 6th. There were people knowingly protesting, applying for permits. It was known that there was going to be protests on January 6th. Leading up to January 6th, what was going on internally at the Capitol Police to prepare for it?
That's the disturbing part. There were permits. We even knew, and when I say we, I would say the commander of the IICD division. Her name was, at the time, well, she was an assistant chief of the United States Capitol Police. Her name was Yogananda Pittman, and she was in charge of our intel section. And we knew, when I say we, I mean her. She knew from the information gathering that it was going to be violence on January 6th. And for some reason, she decided not to push that information down to the people who needed it.
Let me flesh that out. People are going to say it's hearsay. You were saying that she knew, but and the difference between potentially violence and protests, let's set that distinction aside. How do you know what she knew? How did she know it? And what was the knowledge that she had about potential violence on the day of January 6th?
She had multiple intel reports. She had people underneath her, some of her subordinates, and they sent her information basically saying it was going to happen. But one of the most important pieces of intel that she had, it was an intel report 21 TD 159. She had that report and she got it. I think it was December the 21st. Basically saying what was going to happen, that the Capitol was going to be breached, they were going to kill and hurt officers. She had the intel report. During her committee testimony, I think it was in February, the beginning of February, she said that she gave the intel report to her deputies and she did not give it to her deputies. And one of the deputies, a high-ranking deputy, was a whistleblower. And he came out and said, no, I guess he was stunned that she even said that she gave it to them because she didn't. And when they brought it to her attention, she never felt it was important to correct the record of her congressional testimony. So we can prove she didn't give. And this is the frustrating part, and I've learned to deal with it over the past few years, that we can basically prove January 6th was a setup. There are multiple whistleblowers who came out to say basically what information Pittman had, and then Pittman ended up firing the people who worked for her who could testify to what they had. But by her firing the people, now it makes them look like disgruntled employees because they went and they got terminated. But the problem was that, like, I was a whistleblower. The high-ranking whistleblower that I referred to, his name is Jeffrey J. Pickett, and he was a deputy chief on January 6th who actually responded when he saw the chaos, and he responded from Cheltenham, Maryland to D.C. to assist. Yogananda Pittman was already there, and she wouldn't help. So okay. I can go on and on and on, but I'll let you jump in and ask the question.
Well, first of all, what was the number of that intel report again?
21 TD 159.
21 TD. Who drafted that? I'm just going to put it in the chat so everybody has it. Who drafted that report, as far as you know?
The report was drafted from our intel unit. And I believe that they gathered information from the FBI and other resources to send it to her. So she had it. I think it's even public. You can go take a look at it. And the thing about it is that when you have a report like that basically stated what was going to happen, you have to give it to the chief of police at the very least, or the operations bureau commander. His name was Assistant Chief Chad Thomas. Now, Pittman was in charge of the intel. Chad Thomas was in charge of the operations, meaning the officers that would be prepared to deal with the intelligence. If it was going to be a lot of violence, Chad Thomas would be the commander that would be responsible for making sure that we had enough officers on the scene that day, making sure we had mutual support, making sure that we were outfitted with the proper gear, and Pittman didn't give him that information.